Okay, well, it's time now for Perspective, and we're shining a light on the world's worst humanitarian crisis, the war in Yemen. Even before it began, the country suffered from extreme poverty, with water scarcity a constant threat. But since the conflict began, Yemenis are enduring a living nightmare. They've been starved, maimed, and killed at times by weapons from the same countries urging for peace. Well, to tell us more, we're joined by Yemeni human rights defender Radhya Al-Mutawakel. Radhya, thank you so much for joining us today. You're coming to us from the Netherlands there. I just wanted to know, now you're the chairman of Mwatana for Human Rights, an organization that chronicles the human cost of the conflict. Tell us, how does your organization manage to gather these testimonies and these stories from people on the ground?
So Mwatana is a team of 71 men and women, and we have field researchers all over Yemen. Those field researchers work daily to document the violations by all parties to the conflict. It's not easy, but until now we still can proceed and to collect these violations and informations, and then we publish statements, reports, and even documentary films.
And now, why did you decide rather to set up this organization? I mean, it's dangerous work, and it comes at great personal cost, I imagine.
Yes, it was established many years ago, even before the war, because at one moment in Yemen, we believed that human rights work can shake the wall of war until it collapses. It is a very clear path toward human rights and the rights of civilians among whether a conflict or a normal situation. So we believe that through our organization, we can make a difference, and we can search not only for accountability and for protecting civilians, but also for peace. Accountability can lead to peace.
And now, talking about accountability, you've documented rights violations on all sides of the war in Yemen. Can you tell us about some of the reports you've made recently?
Right. One of the last reports that Mwatana has documented, released, was about the incidents where remnants of weapons were found in some of the airstrikes by the Saudi and Emirati coalition. And we found UK, US, and one Italian remnants of weapons. And also we documented the landmines about Houthis. We have reports about also the torture, disappearance, forcibly disappearance, and also the attacks from all parties of the conflict to the historical sites in Yemen, all over Yemen. So the list of violations that is committed by all parties to the conflict in Yemen is a lot, and it is increasing every day. Parties to the conflict, they don't care. They commit their violations, even if it is very preventable violations, because they feel empowered by their allies, and they don't think that they will be held accountable. One of the things that is really absent in the war in Yemen is accountability. Yemen doesn't have to be the worst humanitarian disaster, even if there is a war. But Yemen now, it's the worst humanitarian disaster because of the attitude of parties to the conflict and the violations they have been committing since the beginning of the war until now.
And speaking of parties to the conflict, how have they reacted to your reporting?
So when I say parties to the conflict, I mean Houthis armed group, I mean the Saudi and Emirati coalition and Hadi government and other local armed groups. So all of them, they don't want the truth to be said. One of the first things they do against Mwatana is the huge hate campaigns. Besides the threats, Mwatana has been, many of our members have been detained more than once in different places in Yemen by different parties to the conflict. And they keep on denying all the reports that we've been issuing, and instead of trying to investigate in these incidents and to be serious, to stop attacking civilians, they deny. They do a lot of hate campaigns and threats against us. But we protect ourselves by being very independent, neutral, and professional. There is no 100% protection in a situation of war where you're surrounded by armed groups, and your neighbor is Saudi Arabia. But until now, we managed to be there and to be able to proceed our work in spite of all the challenges and attacks from parties to the conflict.
Now, you recently spoke to the UK's Foreign Minister, Jeremy Hunt, about the sale of arms to the Saudi-led coalition. Do you feel like the UK is ready to stop selling arms? Do you feel like they're ready, actually, to help resolve this conflict?
To stop selling arms, they don't seem to be ready, which is very sad. It's sad that these huge, big countries like UK, France, and the US decided to fuel the war in Yemen instead of to stop it. There is a tension I felt from the meeting with Jeremy Hunt to stop the war in Yemen. But, you know, Yemen now is between the toll of death and the chance of peace. And between these two, there is the will from the international community. If there is a real will from the international community to stop the war, then they can do it, because parties to the conflict in Yemen, all of them, they are failures, and they don't have a peace plan, they don't have a war plan. They can be pushed to go forward to the peace process. But the pressure from the international community should be independent and balanced from the UK, US, and also France, especially these three countries.
Do you think that they're doing enough to pressure the Saudi-led government? What kind of pressure are they putting on Saudi Arabia?
I don't think that they're doing enough. After the Khashoggi murder, the pressure went very high, public and high. And because of this, only in 2 months, they have succeeded to send all parties to the conflict to start this peace process in Sweden. And then now the pressure is going down. That's why we are facing a lot of challenges. No, the pressure is not enough. And the focus in human rights violations by all parties to the conflict is not enough. So to sell weapons to your allies and to pack them, so it makes you much weaker when you come to be someone who try to make peace process in such country.
And just on the peace process, are you hopeful that peace will come to Yemen soon?
I'm hopeful, and I believe that peace in Yemen is very possible. It's always possible. It needs just this will from the international community to go forward. Yes.
And for you, I mean, what would the peace process look like?
Until now, the peace process that has started in Sweden is the most serious peace process. I mean, chance for peace happened since the beginning of the war. Until now, it's facing a lot of challenges, but also there are some indicators are saying that this peace process can go forward if the pressure continue. If the pressure is like a fashion, then maybe we will start from the scratch. So, you know, all parties to the conflict, for me, they are criminals because they are committing horrible violations. But it's only them who will stay at the table and stop this peace process. So any result that helps Yemeni to have a shape of state, a shape of democracy, and to bring back the rule of law is going to make a lot of difference, and it is very possible. It's going to be very sad if we lost this chance. If the international community, they know that there is the worst humanitarian disaster and they have the power to stop it. It's going to be very sad if this chance was not taken seriously, especially by the international community.
Radhya Al-Mutawakel, thank you very much for speaking to us here on France 24. Okay, and a reminder of our top story this hour. Neither new nor bold British lawmakers slam Theresa May's proposals to end the Brexit deadlock. MPs unimpressed by new promises of a second referendum and a temporary customs union. Well, it's